I started an hour 10 late, but I had things to do. If the audio is giving me a feedback on my streaming computer, all right. If you can hear me okay, let me know. If it's a little bit quiet, let me know about that because I can flip a switch. This might be really loud. Is this better now? Is it too loud? Do I need to turn it down? Probably about right. All right, one thing to do, I'll move this screen over. Blow it up. All right, cool. Philly, yes, you can commission me to do a console mod, probably, but send me an email. It's very loud. Is it clipping, though? That's the question. If it's not clipping, then I would turn your volume down. Okay. So what am I doing today? I need to build an APU build for a customer. It's a commercial client, actually, and we're going to test something out. We're going to test if their software can run on it. And if it can, great. Then they get to have a smaller computer that's going to cost them less. If not, then I have more parts. So that will be what they'll go with next. So rather than overkill, I like to, especially when they're buying a lot of these, I want it to be the right thing for them. So I bought with some monies Ryzen 7. I think this is a 2700. I didn't get the 2700X because I didn't have it on Amazon. I'm not going to be doing any overclocking. I'm actually embarrassed to admit I don't know if you can overclock or undervolt a normal Ryzen chip, a non-X chip. I've only had X chips in my office, so I don't know if it's like Intel in the K series. I really don't. I'm embarrassed to know that. But I'm not a computer person, so I don't have to act like I know everything because I know very, very little. So you guys can let me know. But I did need the 2700X for this. I would just be undervolting it if I needed to. And I'm not going to need to undervolt this either because the GPU, the second build, here's the APU, is this guy, the 1650, which I was excited to try out because the 1650 does not have a 6-pin or 8-pin power connection. So I'm hoping this is going to be a replacement for the 1050 Ti. Man, this is like a really skinny card. Everyone says, you know, don't get the 1650 because it's not worth it. And I totally understand why it's not worth it. But at the same time, my use case is kind of interesting, right? I'm trying to put this into a mini without having to do any mods whatsoever and just have a GPU for general graphics acceleration. Nothing fancy at all. So my second test is going to be 2700 with this GPU for my client if the APU build doesn't work out. So I am just gonna build this APU build, nothing fancy at all. How are you guys doing today? I'm a big fan of the Ryzen 2400G. I did make a little video about it. I've tried literally all the APUs up to the 2400G and been very disappointed. Luckily, AMD sent me the 2400G for that video to do a review on or whatever I wanted to do with it. I wouldn't have tested it otherwise, and I would not have been able to experience it, and I loved it, and I've built several of them now for friends and family, And I'm trying to get mine back because I loaned it to a friend because I want to do a STX build with the 2400G. Thank you, Ken Bailey. I really appreciate the tip and the super chat. It is my pleasure to build you a computer case that you were excited about. So thank you very, very, very much for that. See some familiar faces again. Mexicris, Carson's vids. Appreciate you guys showing up. It's good to have my friends here in the chat. And Mexicris asked if I'm excited for the newer APU from AMD. And man, I really am. I'm really, really excited about it because I do love the 2400. I do love a lot of the STX boards that are out. I'm building an STX computer case. I have prototypes on the way, and other people are doing it too. And I'm really excited about it. I know Sean Kreese, I don't know if he's going to show up. He's working on one. He's been working on one kind of based on the mini design, and he's getting the prototype for it. So we all pretty excited about the APUs that are coming out. It's a good time to be in small form factor. In a different way, because on the one hand, it's kind of bad because vendors are making giant battleships of graphics cards and chipsets that require ridiculous amounts of power. But on the other hand, you have up-and-coming technology like this, which is a little bit anemic to start, but as it gets going, I think it's going to be more and more functional. So, all right, so now I'll use... I got 2 BCI mini test benches, one from Chad, who sponsored me, so thank you, Chad, and one from Craig. Thank you, Craig. We're using the red one today to do my tests. So the board that I picked out, I got the ASRock Vitality. Where's the box? The B450 ITX Gaming, I'll put there so you can screenshot if you want to. And I got it mostly because it was a pretty decent deal, had good I/O. ASRock usually has good I/O. I like the placement of the connectors where the front panel header was. And it only has one Ultra M.2/SSD slot, but that was important because for this customer, I'm actually was gonna go with a SATA SSD because they do not need anything near this fancy. I just want something as small as possible because they're really trying to keep to a budget so they can, bill insurance for thousands of dollars for their product. So keep it as inexpensive as possible. But a lot of the newer boards, they're actually dropping SATA support from their M.2. So that's why I picked this board. It had dual purpose SATA/NVMe. Meteor, I don't know if I would. I haven't found that so far. I haven't done a lot of heavy overclocking with my ASRock Intel boards. That definitely may be the case. But I'm definitely not going to be doing any overclocking for this little build, so I'm not super worried about that. But that's interesting to know. I'm sure other people will affect other people more than it will affect me for this build. Whew. So Samsung doesn't even color their PCB black. I've actually not bought an M.2 SATA drive from them since they had... Never. I bought the M SATAs, tons of the M SATAs when those were a thing, but Okay, so I need to get the box because apparently they don't include the standoff already threaded in this board. So hopefully it's at the bottom of the box. Yep, it was hiding underneath there. Ooh, there's no standoff here, just a screw. Maybe he doesn't need one. He doesn't need one. Okay, we're good. Asus, you have to put the standoff on. Yeah, Carson, I am with you 100%. It's one of the best technology / standards I think ever in computing. I really, really think ever. Because hard drives with, when they came with the SATA, they were flimsy and breakable and required way too many connectors. It wasn't really that big of an improvement from IED. And it was so outdated, but now I just put it on the motherboard. I love it. I love it so very, very, very much. Here is the NHL9A. You know what's really fascinating to me? This kind of bothers me. I buy a lot of Noctua fans. It's kind of ridiculous how much I buy, especially this fan from this cooler. They changed the colors. And I don't hate the color. Don't get me wrong. It's fine. But they changed it. And why would you change your color? You have brand recognition based off your color, right? Nobody else has this. They take tons and tons of flack for it. Why would you change your color? Could you imagine like if Coca-Cola changed the color, the shade of red that they were using? It's just weird to me. It's now a very neutral brown. It's a darker brown. Whereas before it was kind of like a hazelnut. And I prefer the hazelnut. I'm going to say it right here. It's not that the brown is bad, but I preferred the hazelnut. But I don't know, it bothers me. It bothers me a little bit. I know it's kind of silly. And I just now noticed this too. The cream color is also different. I would say it's a little bit more blue. When I say things like blue, I'm talking like from a photography standpoint, just a teeny tiny cooler shade than the old one. The old one was a little bit more magenta. So, yeah, that bothers me. It bothers me that they changed it. The box is also a different color. Didn't notice that before either, but it's slightly more brown as well. So, their little badges are the same color, though. I'll stick that on if we get a good post. It's subtle. It's not glaringly different. And the exposure of the right now, it might be a little bright. I have it kind of high key, so you might not be able to tell a difference, but it could also be your monitor as well. It's their same crappy cooler, yeah. It actually works, but mostly just works from brute force. Oh yeah, the focus is probably off. I didn't actually set the focus. Sorry about that. Brought to you by a big jug of Novus 1. Yeah, it was on an automatic focus, so. It's kind of where I like it. Yeah, JP, I don't know if it was an intentional change or not. It doesn't. That's what the first thing I thought too is like, did they change plastics? Did they change factories? What's the story behind this color change? I really would like to know. As a tremendous Noctua fan who has still never gotten his T-shirt, despite selling more Noctuas than Newegg, that's a big exaggeration. But inquiring minds want to know. Ooh, I get a Vega sticker? Or Vega? What do you guys want me to say? I get in trouble every time I say that word. I do have a stick of NTH1, but I'm not going to use it. Today I actually am going to use my graphite thermal pad. So Noctua's making these now in a different factory. There's nothing on the box that says made in China that I see yet. I know it's there somewhere. This one's made in Taiwan. So the brown one's made in Taiwan. Do I have an older box? I don't think I have an older. Maybe I do. Well, that's odd because I have some more made in Taiwan ones that are the old hazelnut color, so I don't know what the deal is. I don't know. Oh, somebody else has found it. Do you think it could be a coincidence? Because I have some Taiwan made ones over there that are the old color. I don't know. I don't know the answer, but oh, Steve already did a study of the color change. Man, that guy is awesome. I learned so much by doing these streams. I have to go back and watch that. So I guess I'm not special, and there's already something that covered that. But it took me off guard. Yeah, maybe the boxes are made in Taiwan. It's all assembled in Taiwan, and they get to call it, but I'm going to be using the Innovation Cooling Icy Graphite Thermal Pad. We talked about this before. I'm sure you guys know what this is, but this is a graphite or graphene thermal pad. I've used them once before. They're kind of interesting. People say that they can actually perform better than standard thermal paste. I don't know about that. I didn't test it. I would assume that Steve from Gamers Nexus or somebody similar has done the comparisons. But what I can say is they're really interesting because you can reuse them several times over. And it's really handy when you're doing like a test bench type of scenario and you're removing a cooler and putting a new one on a lot. Just trying to get an overclock or something like that. I mean, it wouldn't be very scientific to reuse it over and over again to measure like temperatures or something, but you can reuse them over and over again. And because I might swap this CPU out for the 2700. I don't want to deal with cleaning up goop from the NTH1. So that's what I'm going to be using today. And people ask me this quite a lot with the NHL9A. My brain is just not working today. It usually doesn't work properly, but it's working less than usual today. The fins are transverse to the ram. They're perpendicular to the ram. So you can't really get around that. There's only one way to mount this cooler. So yeah, you are going to end up blowing hot air into your ram stick. Interestingly enough, though, this cooler actually outperforms the NHL9i by a tiny little bit. But if you're using really fast RAM, that could be a problem. Back in the DDR3 days, I did a build for a big corporate company, and with the company I was in, and we put together like 250 units, 250 S3 minis, and we got like 20% of them back because the first RAM stick had died because the cooler was pointed towards that RAM stick. We replaced the cooler, replaced the RAM because the RAM was under warranty, but we changed the cooler out, and that we didn't have any problems after that. So that was really interesting to me. So I do think that, at least in the DDR3 days, that RAM overheating could cause premature failure. Whether that's actually the case or not, I don't know, but it's a superstition that I have developed. I'm not sure what I want to do for the streams. I do enjoy doing them with you guys. I think that they're good because they can cover a lot of topics. And when people ask me questions like in an email, like how to do a particular thing, I can just link them to the stream and they can look at the build themselves. So I think they're handy, but a lot of people really hate them. And since I started doing it, I've lost a lot of subscribers from my channel. And I'm wondering if I should make a separate channel and like have it be like a raw channel. I'm seeing other YouTubers do that where it's just like unedited live streams, but it'd be good to get y'all's feedback too. It's not like I'm doing these in place of my produced videos. It's just that I don't have time to do a lot of produced videos. They take a lot of effort. So those are something separate, and these are kind of like a bonus thing that I do. You know, it's really interesting too. This motherboard, I just noticed, it does not have a lot of solder joints pointing out the back. It's very flush, very clean. So you can actually install this fan without having, the fan bracket screws without having to worry about it touching anything. I didn't do this right though. This is not right. This is not how it should be. Do I have to actually read the instructions for once? Oh, duh, being stupid. I shouldn't be doing anything right now except sitting on my front porch, drinking lemonade. Yeah, if that's actually, a lot of people had some really good comments just now. But Nanashi, if anybody wants to volunteer to be part of this channel, part of NSC Systems to do editing, we could work something out because I actually record and do so much stuff on a day-to-day basis. It's unreal. I have terabytes and terabytes of footage I take that I end up just deleting or getting rid of because I don't have time to edit it all. So if I could have an editor, I think the channel could actually do pretty decent. And you might even be able to create yourself your own job doing that from the revenue from the channel. That's something that happened the last week. I was watching Bikes and Beards, which is one of the channels that I kind of follow. And he was showing one of his videos. It got like 100,000 views, which is not a lot, but it's, you know, it's a decent chunk. I have a couple videos that I have 100,000 views on. And he made like, I forget what the number was, but it was like $1,250, $1,300 off that one video from the ad revenue. And I have to say, that blew me away because I have made under $2,000 in total revenue from my channel for the 5 years that I've been doing it. That includes the super chats. And that's revenue. It's not profit because YouTube takes a big cut. But I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't need or want this to be necessarily a source of revenue, so it's not a big deal to me at all. But I just thought that was interesting that his content generated that much. And I know that obviously it's about how much people watch, because you can have a view and then it cannot follow, but I actually have really good retention for a lot of my videos. People watch it mostly all the way through for my produced videos. So I don't know what the deal is there. Maybe it's because I don't post very frequently. But the point is, if somebody's interested in teaming up with me and can do editing real well and put together stories, let me know. It's a lot of work, so I really would be looking for somebody that already does it and understands how much work it is. Because if you guys watch my content too, I have like a new scene almost every second. I try to have a new image every second. So in the average video I have is, you know, like 15 minutes long. So that's a lot of footage. As far as Patreon, yeah, no, I didn't do ads for a long time. JP, that's a good point. So that's why I have so little revenue on my channel. But I did have some videos that did have ads enabled at one point, and they just didn't do that very well. And Patreon too, I've actually not charged a lot, but I'm really appreciative to my patrons. I always forget to charge. I think I've done it like 2 or 3 times. So anyway, I am slow today. Man, it's not a good time to do a crossword puzzle, I'll tell you that much. But I have this assembled. Yeah, I was just more interested in why I wasn't doing it, because again, this has never been about revenue for me. I have a business. It's successful thanks to you guys and gals. So I don't need to make money off of YouTube. I was just surprised that his videos did make that much money. And I thought that was kind of cool. The only reason I'd want to make money from the YouTube channel is if people wanted to get a job with me editing videos, and then they could take money from the YouTube revenue. So that would be easy. I'm all about making jobs. I think that's awesome. Okay. So I'm going to turn this guy on. I'm going to use HD Plex products. To turn it on, I got my shipment in. Are you guys getting in your HD Plexes? You should soon. I know I usually get the first batch because I ordered them first. Ah, big box of power supplies. It's good to cover this in other videos too. One of the top questions I've been getting, or top misunderstandings, is people thinking that this can't be used as an external brick, and it can be. I mean, think of this like a Dell power supply for the laptop that's half the size of the Dell 330. Is it pretty? No, but I mean, if it's just going to sit outside your case on the floor anyway, it's not really that big of a deal, in my opinion. But it comes with this little adapter, this barrel jack adapter, and then look at that. You just plug it in the back of your computer case. It's an external brick. Yeah, it's ugly. I'm working on a product that or service that will sleeve all this and make it look awesome. But you know, if you just want a really tiny power brick that you can put outside your computer case and not have to worry about what graphics card you choose, you can run this. And it's totally safe to run outside your computer case. You can pick this up while it's running. It's fine. It's UL certified, maybe. Says so. It says it is. So you can use this outside your computer. Just throwing it out there. It's a much more elegant solution than some solutions people are throwing out, like using an SFX power supply and routing all the cables in the back of the computer case. Speaking of which, I'm actually going to do it that way. It's the HG Plex 400 DC. With Larry's new barrel jack connector. Super beefy, because there have been reports of the old one kind of melting. Now, it's kind of a rare occurrence. You don't need to panic. And as far as I know, no one's had any hardware damage whatsoever. But the jack could fail under certain circumstances. So he has a new one that's super beefy. Plugs right in the back of the Mini. It's way better designed too. You don't have to have two little M3 screws because you can just stick this right in the back and put the nut on it. Really beefy. It has more clearance for cards too. So if you had like, you know, an S4MC that's unmodified, really easy to use. This is a bad power supply. Darn it. I forgot I let somebody borrow mine and I didn't give it back. I'm actually using a different power supply for this build, but just to do this test, I'm going to run it like this. David says I should get an intern. I would love to have an intern. I would hire somebody to do work for me, but finding that person and training that person and having them be local, you know, is I have my eyes out, but especially because I'm going to be getting the laser in, so I need to pay that off. So I think I do need to invest in hiring at least one person to work with me. So, yes, Pablo, I have seen the HG Plex 200, and I've been using it for quite some time. It's actually in one of my custom mods that Joe is sleeving from Sanctum Sleeving right now for me. So, very happy about that product. I think this is one of my RGB switches. YGM, if you go look at the live stream playlists and you go look at the 2060 build, that one features a black mini, and I do have some glamour shots at the end. That one looks really cool. I might have one too I'll show you on this stream. This is my shifting RGB on-off switch. And now we wait for a post. Jamie asked, do I still have the 1080 mini brickless build with the long 24-pin cable? Do you remember how long the cable was? The cable is, I believe, 12.5 inches long. No signal so far. I did use the Vega chip, right? Yeah. Oh, I think I found the problem. Hopefully. Because one thing I gotta say, I have not had a lot of good luck with Vega boards. I mean AMD boards for APUs. I had the last one where it wouldn't boot with a lot of HDMI cables, or it wouldn't post, so I'm wondering if this is going to be the same kind of nonsense. Yeah, I'm going to bust out the other HDMI cable and see if that's the problem. Mac, the height I consider to be 111.5 millimeters. That's what I consider a normal height graphics card. Alright, well I'm going to plug in a GPU now and see what I see. This is my major problem with this test bench, is that it actually covers ports. Might be just a bad board. Oh wait, no, I had to do its second post. Let's get a speaker plugged in this bad boy. I don't actually see a speaker header. Well, I guess because we're here, we can try swapping RAM out, and we can try swapping the CPU out. Let's try the RAM first. Yeah, I haven't bought a board with an internal beeper for a long time. I wish they still had them. This looks like it might be the speaker. The fan's doing something different this time. kind of running at a slightly higher RPM, but dropping down. Posted. RAM problems. Let's try something really simple and try one stick at a time. Novak says, will 150 watt power supply be enough for this APU build? It should. It should. I am using a little 200 watt Meanwell inside of the chassis I'm about to install this into. Nothing so far. Gonna try the other stick. It could be too that this motherboard doesn't like this RAM. I didn't look at the RAM compatibility list. I usually get Vengeance because it's inexpensive and I've never really had a compatibility problem before with it, but first time for everything. It sounds more promising. It is odd though that the speaker, if this is the speaker header, wasn't beeping at me. It posted with one stick. So this board's more of a budget board, JP. So I wasn't really expecting to have any diagnostics on it, but I would have expected the speaker to make a noise though. And the problem is if I put this other stick in here, it's probably going to post, but I'll have problems down the way. So especially when I start using the APU. That was my problem with the last APU build I built. Same kind of deal. I had one stick of memory that was bad. I could install Windows on it. I could run most applications, but if I ran to like a 3D game, then it would bomb so bad Windows had a hard time starting ever again without doing really long repairs. Let's see if it posts at all. Fan's not acting like it's wanting to. So I'm just going to use some other RAM for now. No big deal. No sense of wasting everyone's time. That's good enough for me to send it back. And oh, the only thing though is if they don't send me back my low profile memory, we're gonna have problems. 'Cause I need this. And I don't actually have anything that's not SODIMMs right now except my LP. Well, because this stuff, woo, this is pricey. I wish there was more low-profile options available. They're very hard to find. These are Japanese. And actually have Japanese on the side. All right, we're posting. Everything's good to go. So I'm going to install this in the Pure. A little bit behind schedule, but that's okay. So in my experience building computers, this is just my experience. Yours might be different. I used to have a saying, it's always the power supply, because it was mostly the power supply's fault if you had posting issues. But since I switched to these types of power supplies, I kind of changed that to RAM. And there's another issue with RAM. A lot of RAM, you actually will have to go into the UEFI and make changes to your motherboard to get the RAM to be quite stable. Not everything's fine out of the box. And so a lot of users will get it and assume that there's a dead board or a dead RAM, which I'm not going to assume that this is bad RAM, but I don't have time to go deal with that and mess with that. So if you have another set of RAM laying around, try booting and then playing with the values inside your motherboard and then putting the new memory that you bought and seeing if it works. For me, this is not a customer's build where I have to worry about that kind of thing. I'm just going to send it back and buy something that's more compatible. So, because chances are these have been tested by Corsair and they probably do work, but they might not also. So all right, now the meat and potatoes of this stream. This is the J-Hack Pure. I covered it in another stream. J-Hack made a teeny tiny little case that was kind of designed for APU builds with mini ITX motherboards and internal DC-DC power supplies. I kind of talked more about the case last time if you want to follow it, but generally speaking, I like this computer case. It is a great value. I think it's $75. This was sent to me as a gift from my buddy Chad, which he hooks me up with all sorts of stuff, so I'm really appreciative of him supporting the channel in this way. I was actually going to be buying one of these, and he was like, no, I'll send you one that I got to check out. J-Hack, which you can also look in the link in the description, he has a little store where he actually sells DC-DC power supplies, which he's designed and has manufactured, and also kits for Meanwell products, like this Meanwell RSP200. I think that's the model number. But you can look on his website. And these are great because they're very durable, they're very stable, this one's medical grade, and he sells little wires and everything for, and they're cheap. They're quite cheap, especially if you don't get the medical grade ones, which you don't need. If you're building a computer for your home, you don't need the medical ones, and they're really cheap. So, yeah, great all around. The case is well thought out, very simple 2 bins, pieces of metal, which enables him to lower the cost. The paint job actually is pretty decent. It's just a powder coat. It's not like a ground and polished powder coat, but again, $75 for a low run case that's built like a truck, well thought out, well designed. I really like these. And so if my client likes this APU build, it'd be cool if we can order these for them. I'm also building a special type of APU case that you guys convinced me I've been working on for a while. But it's going to be expensive, like the Mini. So this is a good way if you just care about the form factor and performance to get something that works well and isn't junk, and you are supporting a boutique case manufacturer. I'll show the Discord. Carson asks, what makes a power supply medical grade? I'm not the person to answer that question, but I'm sure it has to do with EMI filtering, and it probably passes more tests. I don't know. But I've used both because out of curiosity, see if one was better than the other, and just standard computer test until they smoked. Both were just as durable as the other. So I also have... Nananashi says low variance in power flow. I'm sure there is something technical that the medical grade does differently, but I also suspect, as I usually do, has to do with taxes and certification. If you can save money on a certification that you don't need, lower the cost. The case is so just beautifully simple. That's why it's called pure. I don't really need to talk about how to mount anything. There's 4 standoffs. They screw in from the bottom, and that is what I'm going to do after I put in the I/O plate. Everything lines up quite nicely. The tolerance between the motherboard and the I/O shield is very good. That's a mistake I usually see new case designers make when they go get things manufactured, is that there is too much of a gap or too little of a gap, and it can be problematic when your I/O shield has the EMI mesh, the wire mesh on the back. But this is just perfect. Everything lines up with the standoffs well. I don't have to press anything in, so good job. I'm going to assume that they're M3. They look like they're M3 screws. I'm sure that they came with screws when I got this. Who knows where they are at now. I'm going to do things slightly better than this. Use my mini screws. Thank you, David Clark. I really appreciate that gesture. It's very kind of you. I got some British monies. And thank you, Nanashi, for explaining things. Apaki says, have you ever used the HD Plex DC with a battery? I have never used the HD Plex with a battery because it's 19 volts and I don't really have any 19 volt batteries. However, I have used plenty of 12 volt plug-in units with batteries before, and it works absolutely fantastic. So there you have it. You have to make sure, of course, that your battery has the amperage needed or to supply your system. But it runs absolutely fine off a 12 volt battery. We've used motorcycle batteries. We've used lithium ion batteries for charging flashes for camera equipment. It works quite well. Power switch and power LED. Comes with the on-off switch, by the way. And here's J-Hack's little plug-in unit. Pico type power supply. This one has been designed for the Mini. And I don't know what motherboard. But this was designed for the S4 Mini. But it's still going to work for me in this case. Has a little pigtail for SATA drives, which we do not need. And we'll tuck in the front. And this little pigtail plugs into the output of the Meanwell, the AC unit. And again, what makes this product so cool, in my opinion, is that you can buy the case and the power supply with the modded cables right on his website. I'm actually having a problem getting one of these pins in. Use Molex brand pins, J-Hack. And if you did, then what the heck? It's fine. I just need to fix this real quick. Come on, baby. There we go. Bingo. Pretty. Yeah, I've not really had a lot of luck. I did the Vega 56 for my friend Craig for his Orangulon build, and he hates it. And I can understand why. It has a massive amount of coil line, way better than the R9 Nano, but that really bothers some people. It definitely bothers me. I don't know what kind of compromises they had to make to get the card that small, but it does make a lot of noise. Yeah, Philly says, don't forget my memory sticks, and I appreciate that. I'm going to see if I can get replacements, which I probably can before I ship these out, because if I send this to the customer and they don't send it back after they do their testing, I'm going to be missing out on my sticks. I don't know if I can get a hold of them again. I have to wait till another friend goes to Japan or something. I like how this feels. It's pretty darn solid. I like how it looks. I'm really even more pumped for my mini case, because I really like this. I really like APU builds now. And it's funny because I was really against it. I didn't like the idea, but you guys kept saying, make an APU case, make an APU case, and 2400G came out, and I have to say I was convinced. And I'm really, I don't want to muddy poor J-Hack's video, because I wanted to kind of make a video for him talking about my case, but talk about that another time. But this is I would say, a great product for the price. And again, what makes it special for the third time is you can buy the power supply kit from the same place, which includes the cables and everything that you need. That's cool. Cool little APU build, which I will get up and running a little bit later. Yes, Nanashi, Nanai, you'll have to go get me some memory sticks from Japan. Some very low profile ones. These are so useful. I use these all the time. These are my favorite RAM sticks, and it's what I actually use to do all my current benchmarks. I redid all my benchmarks and I use them. So I actually want these sticks back. I can't just replace them easily. All right. Mr. Lee asked to see a black mini before I go, and that's a good request, so I'm going to do that. Thanks again, Chad, for sending me the J-Hack Pure. I hope that the customer likes it. This is mine. I intend to get another one back. I don't want to just send the customer this. I'm not selling them this case. All I'm selling them is testing to see if this recommendation works. And then I have an actual case / system that I'm designing for them, to be clear. But it would be cool to be able to buy these from JHack and drop them into that solution. But that's the plan for that one. This is not the new black case, but it's fine because it looks exactly the same. This is from another customer from Japan, actually. Who's selling his parts, but he wants to keep the mini and do another build another time. But it has one of my carbon fiber bezels on it. It's a little bit kind of dirty because it's a used case, but yeah, here it is. And again, I think the better pictures would be to go to my other stream with the 2060 build, because this one's been across the world and back several times to me at this point. But and the only problem with black is that it shows fingerprints. Silver doesn't. So I'd have to actually really clean this one off if I wanted to do a real good shoot with it. But you'll like it. The black, the NFC black from Lian Li is actually black. It is not really, really dark purple or really, really, really dark gray. It is actually black. Their anodizing and dyeing sealing is second to none. It is black as anything in this office. So I appreciate you guys very much. I'm sorry that I'm very slow and out of it, but I really enjoy hanging out with you guys. I really do appreciate you. Thank you to the people that were technical and answered technical questions. Thank you to the people who super chatted me. I really appreciate you. It's a great gesture. It's a boost of confidence, and I really do appreciate that. Thank you everyone for your feedback about the questions that I asked you. I'm going to go through. I'm going to read everything in the chat, and of course, if you ever want to get in touch with me, just send me an email. I'm only an email away. So, yeah, appreciate you guys. And again, thanks to Chad for sending me the JHack Pure. And go support JHack if you like this product. I don't see why you wouldn't choose this for your APU build, especially if you're looking for something that's a really, really good value. Very, very good value, because I guarantee you there is not another mini ITX case that supports internal AC/DC power supplies like this that's built to this quality. There's a lot of junk out there. And if you have tons and tons and tons and tons of money to burn, or you have very little money and just prefer not to eat, I have my chassis coming out hopefully later this year. But that's going to be after Computex. And I wouldn't consider them necessarily competing products, but I guess it's in the same class. You can buy both. Why not buy both? Thank you, JP. That's really cool of you, dude. I really do appreciate that. I'm going to get a green tea smoothie with that. So oh, Discord. Please, guys, join my Discord channel. It's growing. It's awesome. I learned so much from you guys. I appreciate all the teaching that you do for me and for people that join. So, thanks, Alex. Appreciate you very much, man. All right, love you guys. Appreciate you. God bless, and I'll see you actually soon because I need to do a couple more builds this week. So might do a couple more bonus ones. Bye bye.